And her response is, "Oh, I never said that was a rule."
No freaking way. No freaking way.
So I'm like, did I invent this rule, or it's the biggest gaslight. Like,
I was gonna say gaslight set. What on earth?
let's do it.
All right.
On the
Sweet.
record.
On the record with Sydney Davis Jr. Jr. So Nathan, thank you so much for joining me for Growing Up Fundie. I'm really excited to have you on as a guest. For anybody who's listening, we actually met in college and we went to school at the University of Arkansas Monticello. Go Boll
Go
Weevils.
Weevils. Yeah.
Go Weevils. And it's interesting because I actually feel like we've become better friends since then. Like I remember you from school, but I think we really only knew each other because I dated literally the entire band, like the whole entire jazz band while I was there.
Oh, okay. Jazz band, maybe.
Yeah, jazz band. Yes, the jazz band. Not the other band, but the jazz band.
Yeah. We're the cool ones.
Yeah, exactly. It's very talented. But enough for me. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Who are you? What do you do? What's going on?
Well, first of all, there's nothing more evil
than a damn boll weevil. That's right.
A damn boll weevil. I grew up from birth to the middle of second grade. So like right at Christmas break of second grade. My family moved around a whole lot due to various things, basically just because a lot of family things. And when I say moved around, I mean Kentucky, one or both of the Virginias, I think Georgia for a minute.
Wow.
Maybe a Carolina. I can't remember. And then
one of those
Florida.
Carolinas was in there somewhere.
Yeah, half of the South, capital S, probably been around. So like around second grade, I think there were some circumstances. We moved to Heber Springs, Arkansas.
Yeehaw.
Yeah, my mom had some family hairs. I love that it's longer now, but but yeah, we had some. My mom had a really close friend that she kind of called her cousin. They grew up together, so we lived with them for a minute and then got on our feet. Myself and my older brother, he's about 5 years older than me, so he definitely understood. Actually, I just recently kind of had the realization, like, oh my gosh, how was all this for him?
Yeah.
Like, not being 7 when this stuff went down. So, but I haven't even been able to dig into that yet. But yeah, so once we ended up in Heber Springs, I'll tell you what, I had an experience there that I want to bring up because it's a pretty significant one.
Interesting.
I was in Florida. I was maybe 2 or 3 schools there. And if you were in line for lunch, and a kid got in front of you, you'd be like, oh, they skipped. Of course, they're on the list now, but so that's how we said that. I moved to Arkansas. I got to Heber Springs, and it was kind of over Christmas break. So then I started second grade in Heber Springs, and went to lunch. Maybe I don't know, it's probably second or third day or something, and that happened. A kid got in front, and some kid goes, oh, he cut, and I was just like, what?
Yes.
Who got cut? Like,
yeah. You're a line cutter in Arkansas.
Yeah, so
that's what you are.
Oh my god. yeah, so that kind of realization that some people have different words for things.
Yeah.
It
Oh,
sort
yeah.
of it put me in that mindset to go like, hold on, um, there's other there are just other experiences, you know.
The cultural differences. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that was the first thing I remember that sort of jolted me to that. So yeah, I went second grade. My parents, my current stepdad and my mom got married around that time, about it, maybe a year later or so. Um, and yeah, just then we weren't really going to church when we were moving around a lot. But once we
Mhm.
got settled in Heber Springs, we started going to a Baptist church.
Mm.
And at some point, they had some sort of thing happened with the church leadership, um, whether that be like the pastor or kind of the elders. I wasn't really old enough to know or understand exactly what was going on, but they essentially split. And when that happened, instead of going to, this was the First Baptist Church, so like instead of finding a second or third Baptist church, uh, a lot more, this was kind of diet Jesus. You know what I mean? This, like, it's pretty chill. You go to church on Sunday, like you can come down and pray or something down front, but nobody's like jumping around and speaking in tongues. That hasn't happened yet.
We're
So
not
anyway,
the Pentecostals, sir.
yeah. So I went. The church split, and we, I guess, instead of kind of taking sides, just went all the way over in left field to Assembly of God. Boom,
Wow.
right to the deep end. Yeah, I was like,
Wow.
"This is a transition, y'all."
What do you
And they
think
don't
that
even
was
believe in
about?
those. So, like, yeah, I didn't understand. I think it was because actually my stepdad was raised in an Assembly of God church. So it was kind of
Interesting.
like, "Oh, we should go," you know. But there's a difference because the Assembly of God he grew up in was like one of two or three churches in his tiny town.
Right.
Um, Heber Springs has like a huge number of churches per capita.
They do. I just drove through there not long ago on my way back to Tennessee, and
Mm,
I remember thinking there were more churches than people. I was like, "Where
yeah,
are the people that are filling these churches?" Yeah, it's
exactly.
wild.
It is like they just come out of nowhere. Well, to be fair, it's the county seat of Cleburne County, and that's kind of a large county as far as land area goes. Probably mediocre compared to all the other counties in the country, but like, so people did probably come from out of town, and stuff like that. But still, man, I'm like, wow, there's more churches than Mexican restaurants. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, the white
Yeah.
people there are getting really excited about some churches and Mexican food.
Right. I don't think people who didn't grow up Southern Christian don't understand the importance behind you go to church and then you get
Mhm.
Mexican food. That's how that works. That
Absolutely.
is the way that God intended. On the 7th
Yeah.
day, he rested and he got some Mexican food.
Yeah. So I was going, let's see, for a while, for a long time, the whole family was going to church on Sundays and Wednesday nights. So we were definitely a twice on Sunday, once on Wednesday. Like,
Dang.
if they're open, we're there. Um, there was Royal Rangers, which is Boy Scouts for Boy Scouts for Jesus, pretty
Oh.
much. I wanted to say, I, maybe I don't know. If you want to omit this, go ahead. But I wanted to say, which is Boy Scouts for Christian pedophiles. Uh,
Whoa. Whoa.
but
Wha-
I never experienced any of that in my program, so I
Well, that's
don't want
good.
to put that on.
That's good. I've never heard of that.
Right.
We just had Awanas, which is the same thing, like the vests and the
Baptist.
buttons and the yeah,
Yeah, I did that. I did that when I was at the Baptist church, actually.
yeah. But then when you became a real Christian, you joined the Royal Rangers.
Yeah, the Royal Rangers. Yeah, we were out there doing the sniper rifle training. No, we, uh, I mean, we just did some basic kind of Boy Scout stuff, like stand at attention like this. And here's how flags work. Um, here's a. We did like we went on a camping trip once. We went snipe hunting. Are
Wow.
you hip to that?
Yes, I
Okay,
am. But for anybody listening who thinks that you went out and shot people in the woods, please explain what that is.
so snipe hunting is this rite of passage for some reason.
That's a great way to put it.
Where where you take people who have never been snipe hunting and you mention snipe hunting and they go, "Ooh, what's that?" That's it. That's as much information as you need. Oh, we just have to go.
Yep.
And for some other reason, you do what that person suggests and go. And then you just go out in the woods. The point is to go out in the woods at preferably at night and have some other adult from the crew, through the day they'll feed these little, I heard a bear escape from or a cougar escape from the zoo today. Like, they kind of build it up like that through the day. And then when you go out, you're snipe hunting. Oh, there's these little birds, they're only there at night. And then some other adult is out in the woods going, making these crazy animal sounds. And they just basically scare the youth out of you.
It's hazing. It's hazing for Jesus. Basically, that's I
Hazing
mean,
for
right or
Jesus.
am I right? Right?
You're right. It's hazing for Jesus. But yeah, so it was this Royal Rangers program. It's only for boys, of course, because men are the only ones who are ever gonna, see trees or something and have to build a fire.
Well, I feel like women, if adults were like, "Oh my gosh, I heard a tiger escaped earlier," women would be like, "So then let's go inside." Like,
Right. Yeah.
like
Yeah, women are
seems
not on that
simple.
shit. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, so
I
then
feel
we're
like
going back home.
that's an interesting thing because one thing that's always one thing that's tragic to me is why are like females are hip to getting tricked really early on, and boys just don't have to deal with that for a long time.
Yes, we are I don't want to use the word groomed. We are, let's say, pruned, preened. We are practiced in the ways of
Yeah,
looking for being tricked, taken
yeah,
advantage of,
yeah.
and lied to from a very early age. Very early age. Yeah.
Yeah, in fact, I had this experience recently that I like basically called a bunch of friends afterwards to share it because I actually visited Arkansas because someone you might remember, John Van Houten.
Van
Yeah,
Houten.
yeah,
What
he
about
was playing. He was headlining at the Ohio Club for their jazz week.
dude? He's
So
so freaking talented.
I
So
know,
free. Like,
yeah,
I feel like I should link some of his videos here in the description just so people can listen because
yeah,
what a talented musician.
yeah. He's amazing and just on a
And
bunch of
I did
different.
not date John Van Houten. I
Okay,
did
well
not.
then
For
that's
anybody
not
listening,
everybody.
yeah, so
You
not
have to look at
everyone.
that.
I didn't date you and I didn't date John Van Houten, so we're good.
Well,
We're
I
good.
was married.
That's true. No, you
I
were.
did,
You were
yeah.
married. Yeah.
I was off the table. So, um,
That's the
yeah,
only reason why. That's it.
let's get
That's the
Nathan.
only
Yeah,
yeah.
I was on the list, and then you were like, "Okay, how about Nathan?"
And I was like, "Ugh.
Oh, you got that ring though.
Yep.
Can I have
Yep."
to cross that off? No, I don't. I don't think I was. I was still soaked in this upbringing then, so I think I was warding off any potential anybody's. But yeah, I had this. Speaking of like girls kind of growing up in a completely different situation from boys, I was on the way either down there or back, and I saw I went into a gas station really quickly, and I saw this girl filling up an icy cup. She was getting some blue slush, and she she was filling up just the cup part, but it has that domed lid, and
Yeah.
we know you can put that lid on, and you can still. Well, this girl did not know,
Oh.
but she filled up the cup, and her dad said something like, "All right, come on, all right, you got your slushy." She looked over at the lids, and I watched her have this epiphany, and it was beautiful. And then she turns to her dad, and she says, "Give me a lid, Daddy. I'm not done." And I was like, "Keep
Yes.
that energy forever,
Yes.
please." Like that's gonna
Slushy queen.
exactly so much queen energy in that moment. Like just
Yes, yes.
hold on. she
Yes.
oh man. So yeah, I was like, that's gonna get squashed so quickly. Thankfully, her dad did not squash it in that moment. That
Good.
I was like, she still has that, and her dad didn't just crush it right there.
Because he's gonna want a couple sips of that slushy, I bet.
Oh dang, he's gonna want
Yep.
that lid portion. Oh man,
Yep. You know,
I don't
the
know. He
night's
might
not
have
gonna
just been a
end without
weird
him
dude.
being like, "Give me a sip."
Oh
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
Daddy's got to make sure it's not poisoned or something.
Yeah.
Um, but so yeah, sorry.
You're good.
Did Royal Rangers while I was at the Baptist church, because that's a Baptist. No, sorry, Awana's at the Baptist church. Royal Rangers at the Assembly of God. It's all trademarked and all of that business. Oh man, while I was at church there, I went to church camp. I
As you do.
As you do. Uh, I was. I will say my older brother, my oldest and older brother. There are three of us. Um, those two were my oldest one moved out to live with his dad kind of early on. I think
Got it.
he would have been 16 or so.
Got it.
He's 10 years older than me, like to the
Wow.
month.
Wow.
So I was just like, oh, that's weird. I didn't really get it. But basically I didn't grow up around him very much. But
Got
my
it.
older brother, he was a little rule breaky. And I took that as like, I'm not gonna, I'm gonna follow the rules and all that. I'm mom's best friend. I just like latched onto my mom with, I don't know, the most intensity. And so yeah, I wanted to follow all the rules and be good and make her proud and all these things. Um,
And now
so that pushed things a bit.
do you and your brothers all have do they share the same dad and you have a different dad, or do you have the same dad as your middle brother, or different
Yes,
lineage
same
there?
dad as my middle brother,
Got it.
different dad from first brother,
Got it.
from oldest. Yeah. Um, so yeah, that also was kind of how, like, why it worked out sort of like that.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I grew up, the father figure I had for the most of my life was the current stepfather.
Right.
There was a stepfather in between uh, our dad and the current one, but that was kind of short lived. It turns out he was in some legal trouble, so
Whoops.
uh,
Whoops.
yeah. So thankfully, mom got us out of there pretty quickly. That was good that she could get us out of there, with my current stepdad's help, and that's kind of how
Awesome.
their relationship started. And
That's really cool. I'm glad he was able to do that.
yeah, yeah. So that was good. That's the stepdad that I grew up around, and I want to say I think for for most things, my stepdad's intentions were always good, and I think my mom's were too. But I will say I don't have contact with them. They have a joint Facebook page that I have blocked, um, but my mom's number is the only one that I've blocked.
Got it. Got it.
Um,
And was that around the would that have been around college age, or would that be like a recent thing? Is that kind of a grown you situation?
Yeah, that's definitely more recent. So, I guess to kind of stick with the in timeline order, it's Heber Springs Baptist Church, Assembly of God, um, high school. The transition from Baptist to Pentecostal happened somewhere middle school or high school. I can't remember. Um, a big thing about that was my parents homeschooled me for sixth grade, because that is the year that they teach you that sex exists.
Oh, yes.
So,
Evil,
yeah,
evil. They kept
yeah,
you out of the
yeah.
worldly lessons there.
Humans have been made a completely different way up till this time, and now we do this terrible thing.
Yes.
Uh,
Unless you're married and then suddenly it's not terrible anymore,
oh,
even though
then
your
it's
whole life
beautiful.
we've been telling you it hurts God's feelings.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Until you have the paperwork, you know.
Till you got one of these, and then suddenly it's like have at
Yeah,
it and make as many babies as you can.
I think in I think basically it's probably God's secretary that is the asshole.
What
You know,
what's God's secretary named in
I
this?
don't know.
Karen.
Well, I wasn't gonna, you know, sure, yeah. Um, she's got the pumpkin spice latte next to her laptop with stickers all over it, checking our marriage paperwork. You know,
That's funny.
yeah. Well, that's the other question: is she omnipotent, omniscient then,
I
or
hope
does
not.
God have to tell her that we're banging, and then she's got to go check the marriage cert?
She probably can see everything. She's probably just going, "Mm-mm,
We're gonna have to change some
mm-mm."
verses then. Send it back. Send it back to the publisher.
That's funny.
So yeah, I undergrad after high school, straight to undergrad. Um, got married the summer in between high school and undergrad.
Did you guys go to high school together?
Yeah, we went to we met. We were in the same class when I moved to Heber Springs.
Okay, so you'd known
I,
each other for a long time.
she sat in front of me, and I think she had a ponytail one day, and I pulled on it because I thought that would be funny.
And a marriage license just fell from the ceiling
Yeah,
when you did that.
exactly. Yeah. Then we were no there were many hiccups actually, up until the time that we finally dated the last time on the course to get married. The first one was my older brother had a relationship where he got extremely hurt, and
Oh,
then when that not physically, you
right.
know, emotionally, but
Yeah.
so my mother kind of made this rule like, okay, nobody's dating until you turn 16.
Don't
Let's
develop emotional skills and reasoning and communication. Just wait until you're old enough to get married and worry about
Yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And also don't learn about sex between now and then either.
Yeah, because we're making you wait until you're old enough to do that. Let's pretend that doesn't exist.
Gosh.
So yeah, so that this was one of the biggest things that this was one of the biggest betrayals, I think, is when I of course I had some secret girlfriends then.
Right.
Like this was before middle school, I think, that they made this rule. So I dated I dated this one girl in middle school. Of course there was no dating going on. It was
Right.
just what we call each other or whatever.
Yeah,
And
just
I
going
remember
out.
because if I wanted to stay at somebody's place, if I wanted to go to a friend's house, my parents, it was basically like an interview process. Like you're trying to get top secret clearance here. They're
Wow.
gonna check with it, like, you're gonna be here, the parent's gonna be here in the whole time in the same room. They're not gonna let the kids, go anywhere, or that's like they wanted to. So, I did have a big, friend gathering, one time, and the parents of this person were like, "Yeah, we're gonna be here, it's gonna be fine." There's, 8 kids gonna hang out, and it was me and some of my best friends and also this girl. Um, and then after my stepdad dropped me off, the parents just bounced. I think they stayed in their like master bedroom that was totally just disconnected from everything else. Like we watched some scary movies in the living room, and so I had all of my friends are just like, "Okay, this is it, Nathan. You're gonna kiss your girlfriend." Like, you know, I had no clue what to do. No
Oh,
idea. Nothing happened. I just had no idea. I didn't even know they were trying to set it. Could have This whole gathering could have all been for Nathan's first kiss. These are the
oh,
kinds of friends, you know?
oh
And I just had no
no.
clue. Had no clue. Um so yeah, she kind of she broke up with me after that cuz and I don't blame her, but I didn't know how to feel that then. But yeah,
Yeah.
it was like we can't actually date. Like this is obviously just name tags.
Yeah.
Girlfriend,
Oh.
boyfriend, that's it. Um yeah, later I had a secret girlfriend then this the that was really tragic. Like we basically talked about it. I was like, I know I can't actually date you and like take you out and do all this fun stuff that you should be able to do. You should be with somebody who can do all that. And she was just like, yeah, and I hate that too. Like I wish it could happen. And she actually wrote this really long, just sweetest letter ever
Oh.
about how she just really would love to be with me and like, but because of this rule, because of this hiding it from my parents, it couldn't happen. And she was
And
actually
there was no like there was no trying to, I don't know, get some kind of parole hearing to see if they
right,
would
right.
roll back the rule or anything.
Yeah, which makes the next part way more tragic because I even dated my ex-wife, now ex-wife, a couple of times in high school in secret, and those were broken off kind of quickly.
Yeah.
And my mom even found out about. In fact, that letter that the other girl wrote like fell out of my pocket in the bathroom, and my stepdad opened it up and read it, and then told my mom I had a secret girlfriend, and then you would think I sawed a foot off in her sleep. Like it was this huge betrayal.
Wha-
I don't but anyway,
That's
so,
wild.
so
That's
finally
wild.
I'm 16, and after about I guess a year or so, actually the girl who wrote me the nice note was like, "Nathan, I I want to find you. The rule is done now. I want to help you find the best girlfriend."
Oh no.
Um, I was like, "Okay, I'm here for it."
Were you not like upset that she didn't want to be the best girlfriend?
I don't
Like
know.
was
You
she?
know what? I never really had that thought
Oh, well,
actually.
that's good. I
It was
thought you were about to
Yeah,
get friend zoned
it
hardcore.
was a really genuine situation.
But to me, that makes it even more painful. Maybe it's
Yeah,
because
it
so
was.
maybe it's because I was the girl version of that all through high school, where like every guy I ever liked was like,
Oh,
I wish I could find a girl like you," and you're like, "I'm a girl like me," and they're like, "No, silly, not you." Just one of those, and you're like,
I don't
"Okay,
know.
well."
Yeah. But I think because it was turned around where it was like she was looking for a guy like me, it was like, I want to help you find a girl, like the best girl. And I don't know. I don't know why she didn't think it was her. Or
That's
maybe
so
I was
sad.
supposed to go. Maybe I'm
Maybe
the
you were
dumbass.
supposed to say, yeah. Maybe you're
I was
supposed to
just,
say, "You are it," to that letter you wrote me.
I still have your letter in my nightstand and I read it every day. Um, yeah, that would have been a different trajectory. But so then it was like, she was like, "Hey, actually, you tried to date this girl before, my now ex-wife. It didn't work out, but probably because of this stupid rule where you had to keep it secret.
I mean, she's
You
not
should try
wrong.
that again. She's been
Yeah.
standing right here the whole time. She's still your best friend, no matter like you've broken up twice, but you've reconnected every time and been friends again." Um, and she's also like had a couple other boyfriends that um like we're still friends throughout the whole thing. So yeah, it was like that. So got reconnected with her, and then we started developing a kind of like, oh, is it even possible to be romantic from where we've been this whole time? And the answer was yes. So after about a month of that, I actually went to my mom. So now I'm 17. The rule is out.
Yeah.
Okay. The speed limit's been raised. Or I don't know why I said that, but yeah, edit that one out. But yeah, the rules lifted now. I go to my mom. Okay, mom. I, you know, I, I've been linking back up with her name is Rayanne. I'm sure everybody knows who's gonna watch this. So her name is Rayanne. Like, okay, Rayanne and I we've been sort of reconnecting, and I think it'd be nice if she were my girlfriend. And you also have to understand that I'm still mom's best friend, so I still was talking to her about everything,
I'm
except for the
surprised,
secret
honestly,
relationship.
after that, like, freak out. I don't know if I would have ever been able to talk to her again. That's impressive that you were still able to go to her about stuff.
Well, yeah, yeah. I mean, when you really can't date,
Yeah.
and there's a crazy interview process every time you
It
want to hang out with a friend
That's
that's
true.
not from
Touche.
church,
Yep.
uh, you're pretty well insulated. So I could talk to my mom and practice the saxophone. So,
And
um,
that's how you learned how to kiss.
yeah, it's a very weird situation where never mind.
It's like, we
Everybody just
know why
look
the
up
first marriage
how
didn't
a
work because you
saxophone is held and played,
Yes.
and that's yeah. So I say to my mom, like, well, I'm over 16 now, and there was this rule I couldn't date until I was 16. I'm over 16 now. I want to actually date her, like properly.
Yeah.
And her response is, "Oh, I never said that was a rule."
No freaking way. No freaking way.
So I'm like, did I invent this rule or it's the biggest gaslight, like,
I was gonna say gaslight set what on earth?
yeah. So there
Dude,
was also in with that, there's I'm still going to church like every time they're open. My parents have stopped going. I'm still going.
they stopped going? I'm
Yeah.
shocked by that.
So then I was to Royal Rangers when I was like 15, 16. Um, even though there was a youth group that met on Wednesday nights instead, because Royal Rangers is for like 11-year-olds. You've graduated from kids' church or whatever on Wednesday nights. You go to Royal Rangers or whatever the female version was. I can't remember.
Royal
Um,
Rangettes. I don't know.
no, it was,
Rockettes.
it was definitely more um, not feminist. Something dainty, some kind of dainty title.
Yeah.
So there was a youth group, but they didn't want me to go. I was not allowed to go to that, even though I was like 16. And I think 13 is kind of the age where they are like, okay, youth group time, because we're going to talk about things that matter for teenagers.
Yes. Yes.
Um,
God, I'm
so I
still so
remember one
mad.
time, one time it dawned on me, and I'm like, wait, they aren't going. How? What? I can just go to whichever Wednesday night thing I want. And basically, everybody in the church, everybody, all of my friends, everyone advocated for this. They were like, yeah, you go. So I went to youth instead of Royal Rangers, I think twice.
You're rebelling
Oh,
by
man.
going to church.
Yeah.
That's how strict your
Okay.
parents are. You're
Nobody had
rebelling.
summed it up that way, and I'm pissed.
Yes, like your rebellious streak was
Mm,
going to a church group
mm.
intended for your age. Can we just
Going to a different room in the same church.
can we just let that
Mhm.
soak in for a second? God.
Oh, yeah. It gets better, though. Um, so then I went, and some elder member of the church who happened to be who just had noticed me in the youth group, and then saw my parents at the town meeting place, Walmart, and told
Yep.
them that this had happened. They're, oh, it was great to see. He was on my side. He's like, oh, it was great to see Nathan in youth. Oh, whatever. They came back to me again, just like I had amputated another of their limbs in their sleep, and we're like, you can't go to church anymore.
What was their reasoning? What was the issue? Was it co-ed and they didn't like that or something?
I feel like, yeah, it was co-ed. They felt like youth group was kind of, I think they were like mad that kids were like riding skateboards outside. And
It's church.
doing
It's
these
church.
things,
It is.
or whatever.
They are Pentecostal youth. It is church. They like.
Yeah. Well, I think they sussed out that some of the youth were not fully buying in and were going for the social aspect.
God forbid they
Oh,
come to a
yeah.
safe place to hang out for reasons other than being
Hey,
devout evangelicals.
I can't believe you're saying this. They're gonna come after you.
Come for me. I dare you. I will
So,
send every parrot in this house.
yeah, I did that, and so it was like not going to church anymore. So I didn't. I went to college. I was still insufferably not so much religious, but definitely, I would say, sufficiently Nancy Gracified. That's
I'm sorry, I've never heard it put that way. That's hilarious.
yeah, I was definitely I had definitely been Hannitied pretty hard, and
Hannity, that's good. That's hilarious. I'm gonna write that down. Nancy Grace of mine.
yeah, I had that I was just awash in that for all of my undergrad time. I basically, in high school, then I basically had like 4 different personalities. The person I was in front of people from church, the person I was in front of people my age from church, the person I was in front of people at school, and then the person I was in front of my parents.
Well, and how did the same people who were like, you literally broke our hearts by going to church, how did you then like manage to get married? Like to me, that seems like that would be beyond the realm of allowance. Or was getting married like the only way that you could get past all of those rules?
Getting married was almost a bigger rebellion. It was sort of, the whole thing was like, you better be good at saxophone and grades and stuff, because you're going to need a scholarship to go to college, because you're out. Once you're 18, your ass is grass.
Get the fuck out.
Yeah.
And you better not date either, by the way.
Yeah. You better not date until you're married.
Yeah, exactly.
So, and I also like, I kind of, oh, can I get a job or something while I was in high school? Like, no, you need to practice so you can be ready for college. I'm not going to pay for college. So thankfully, UAM just like stacking scholarships,
Same. Yeah, buddy.
Low cost, like it's a state school, and I don't know why the state still had funding to throw at education somehow, but they threw it at it.
That Arkansas lottery, baby.
Oh,
people
yeah,
keep
true.
buying
That
those.
Just started.
Yeah,
Oh
people be buying them scratch offs, ruining lives while saving other lives.
Yeah, so I did that. I did a cruise ship gig for about 5 months after undergrad. I was still insufferably Fox News.
To be fair, if it makes you feel any better, I don't remember that.
But that's good. That's very good. Very nice.
But I too was Hannitied at the time. So maybe we were both just fucking insufferable. I don't know, but I don't remember you being insufferable. I remember you being kind of serious. I remember you being stoic, but I don't remember you being vocal in any way about any of that stuff. But again, I was also a good little Christian Republican girl at the time who knew everything and could not be told nothing. So,
Oh,
you know,
oh my gosh, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I hadn't really had Heber Springs as like if you had gone to, and I'm sure you could still do it today. If you go to Heber Springs and you're like, hey, just to any passerby, hey, how many people of color live in town? They could tell you, and they wouldn't have to have any kind of genetic mutations to show you on probably one hand.
Yeah.
You
Yep.
know,
Yep.
um,
Yeah. You go to Heber Springs, you're like, excuse me, do you guys have oat milk at this coffee shop? And your head just gets shot right off. Just
yeah,
get out
yeah.
of here with your they thems and
They
your
actually have a trap door right there in front of the counter, and if you
yeah.
ask for oat, you get oat, and then you're down. You know, you don't even get the rest.
Yeah, yeah. Get
So
down there with your rainbow flags and your whatever else liberals do.
the
Your
biggest thing that changed me, I want to make sure I get that part out there because
yeah, I'm so curious about that.
I after I did the cruise ship gig, um, well, first of all, that's an international workspace. So a lot of people from all different countries working on the same cruise ship,
Yeah.
and they're all drinking at the same crew bar. Uh,
And
a
do
lot.
spouses go on those? I've never
Nope.
known if okay.
No. So I was away from my then wife for that 5 months. She did come on a cruise. She booked a cruise, and then while she was there, I was kind of allowed this. Okay, you don't have to. You can go stay in her cabin. You know, you don't have to stay in your
Yeah.
assigned
So
cabin.
many people are telling you how to run your relationships in your life. Jesus.
Yeah. It was really her mom actually that sort of gave me these glimpses of like it's okay to be, really I'm grateful for her mom because she took us on a she when she was young she did a bunch of travel nursing. So
Wow.
she was doing a contract in like San Francisco and going like to the clubs every night and then flying to Hawaii for weekends because you could get dirt cheap standby flights at that
That's
time.
cool. That's really
Before she
cool.
got pregnant with Ray Ann and then moved back to Arkansas. So yeah, she kind of like she would take us on trips and um, Ray Ann's just not a super night excited person for it to be dark, she um but her mom and I would just be like, okay, you go to bed in the hotel room, we'll go hit the bars. We were like in downtown New Orleans and it's like we'll do the crawl, you can go to bed if you need to. So like that was pretty cool and I was 21 and everything, but I got a
That's
job working at
wild.
the university. I was teaching adjunct, driving
At
from
UAM?
Batesville to UAM. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, that's
Well,
cool.
actually, Gary Meggs took
Yeah.
a sabbatical to go on the road with the Glenn Miller Orchestra.
Yeah.
They hired me to backfill that to take his lessons on.
That's
Um,
cool.
yeah, it was pretty awesome. It
That
was a
is
great
cool.
experience. It was an early experience, and I wish I had had more guidance for it because I really didn't know. I knew how to saxophone and jazz. I didn't really know how to teach that, so I wish I had done a better job at that and had some more guidance. But um, I did that, and it was really on the. I had Rayan had gotten a salaried teaching job then, and I had that job. I think that was salaried at that point, and then so I bought a car that could make that journey because we were living in Batesville, which is 3 hours away from UAM, one way.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I bought a little Chevy Spark that could make that trip, and it came with 3 free months of XM.
That's
And
cool.
so I started listening to all these and it was also um, lead up to the 2016 election. So
Oh,
that's an important factor as well.
yes.
So I start listening to all these things. I'm like, okay, this is the first time I'm old enough to like really get involved and vote and learn about all
Yeah.
this stuff and
Yeah.
so I did. And yeah, that's when it was pre-MAGA, but I mean it was well, no, I guess it was lead up to MAGA because it was
Yeah, I was gonna say that sounds
yeah,
right
Bernie
at
and
about.
Hillary on the left and then
Yeah.
leading up to Donald Trump on the right.
And
So
so
I got
was,
all the
like,
ramp up to that.
was that, like, what changed your mind, or did that solidify how you felt? Like, did you learn new things and kinda get exposed to new ideas like that?
Yeah, I got I mean, I was just listening to this right-wing world go crazy, and,
Yeah.
half of them in the name of religion.
Yeah.
Um, so I got into that. There was also, for some reason, around that time, I also got into from the cruise ship, I think. So there's this sort of like fade in from after cruise ship time to 2016 election, where I really took a turn during that whole time because on the cruise ship I got kind of exposed to British comedy, which I
That'll do it.
still every day I'm like I'm watching the BBC 4 or
Yes.
something. I'm watching Would I Lie to You, 8 out of 10 Cats.
Yes.
8 out of 10 Cats does Countdown, solid mashup, Mock the Week, just all of these, and they're all just beating on Trump so hard.
Yes. Yes, yes.
And pointing out all the ridiculousness.
I feel like you would love Wallace and Gromit. Have you ever watched Wallace and Gromit?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But that's
I was
interesting though, so
watching, like, a bit of Hugh and Laurie, or a bit of Fry and Laurie. So that's Stephen
yeah.
Fry and Hugh Laurie, who's British, like, I think Cambridge maybe?
He's
Like,
British
played
AF.
House. Yeah, just this American dude, but he's so British. So I was watching that, and Stephen Fry has done a lot during his career to sort of break this hold of religion on people,
He
and
really
point out
has.
the fallacies that are there.
So you were exposed to these, like, foreign ideas, literally and figuratively, and did it kind of just make you second guess everything that you thought you believed, or did it make you, like, what was the turning point for you where you were like, "There must be
Mm.
something about this?"
Well, I thankfully the people in my life who were not who were basically woke
Yeah.
said woke things and made little tiny corrections here and there, or just like inserted some ideas. They never made me
Yes.
feel like I was wrong or had to choose. Yeah,
Yes.
they just sort of
Yes.
planted that and let me know how they
Yes.
felt. They just exposed me to it. But yeah, they didn't like try to force me to do anything.
Yeah.
So I felt more like, first of all, I felt like it was my choice. You know,
That's the
um,
most important part is it
yeah,
has to be your idea. You know, the
mhm,
more people like you said, if people were to try to force you or make you feel stupid or this, that, the other, you're gonna double down
yeah,
on those beliefs and you're gonna hang on to them for dear life. But when
yeah,
people just ask the right questions or present opposing viewpoints in a very calm, relaxed manner, it's
yeah.
your decision to then be like, I'm gonna look into that. That sounds interesting.
Yeah, it's actually it's a little bit painful to watch some people try to like own these MAGA voters and stuff like that.
Mm.
I mean, of course, there are some instances where you really just have to wince, and you're like, "How
Yes.
I don't know how that person breathes in and out." Uh,
That's
so
funny.
like, it hurts a little bit to see some of that happen because you know that person is just gonna just grab onto the only things
Yes.
they know even harder.
Yes. So
Um,
much so. It does so much more
yeah.
damage. Yep.
so I was free to get out of that space, and the more I did it, so I mean, I would say through Obama's 2 terms, from the first term, like, show me that birth certificate, to um, the end of his second term, I had completely flipped.
Yes.
Yeah, that was really it.
Yes.
So yeah, Obama did it.
Yeah, no, literally, I feel like we had the same experience.
Oh,
I
nice.
tell people,
Yeah.
yeah, I tell people all the time. It's because of people, I was on the debate team, and it's because of
Yeah, yeah.
people that were like, "Oh, why do you think that? Oh, where did you get that information from? Did you know actually this is like you can read up on it if you want, but that's actually not what happened." Just people
Mhm.
softly checking me over and over and being patient. And like you
Yeah,
said, they don't force their beliefs. They just kind of cause you to have a constant source of little revelations, like little pop rocks just like going off. And like I am so grateful. I'm so grateful that they took the time and the energy and had the patience. And I've always wanted to pay that forward. I've always wanted to be the person who's
yeah.
like, "Hey, so like why do you think that?" Instead of being like, "Well, you're dumb if you're just gonna blah blah." That doesn't help anything. Like in fact, that does more
Mhm.
damage. That makes people stay. Yes, yes. And I remember I was also at UAM during the second, I believe, the second election, and I
Mm.
remember with where Obama was running, and I remember somebody saying like, "Oh, who are you voting for?" And I said Mitt Romney, and they were like, "Well, why are you voting for Mitt Romney?" And I was like, "Well, because I don't like Obama," and they were like, "Why?"
Yeah,
Uh,
exactly. Exactly.
I don't
It's like,
know.
why don't you? Like,
Well,
uh,
I don't know. I just don't. But why? I have things to do. Okay, I
because
don't have time to
Mitt
explain.
loves Jesus,
I
or
literally
something.
I cannot tell you anything about Mitt Romney. I can't tell you anything. I still don't know. I have no idea what he stood
Yeah.
for, what he was running for. I have no idea what his platform was, but he wasn't
I think
Obama.
there was one, so I think Mitt Romney was the last, like, bastion of actual conservatism that didn't have this MAGA just
Yes.
rotting
Yes.
from
Yes.
inside,
He was
because I
not
remember there
far
was
right.
yeah, he did this one, campaign rally where some person yelled out something rude about Obama, and he had admonished that person, like, "Don't don't talk about it, like, we don't agree, but he's not a bad person." And I was just like, "Oh, hey, okay, okay, that's
Yeah.
nice." But
Yeah.
Obama acted almost exactly the same way, you
Yeah.
know? But I
Yeah.
think it
Yeah.
was also that little spark of, like, he had the tude, you know?
Yeah.
Um, like,
Yeah.
when he did his last State of the Union, he said something about, like, um, "I can't run again," or something like that, and some Republican Congress group of, politicians went, "Oh, yeah, yeah, ha, 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 you can't run again, yay." And he went, "Yeah, because I already won twice." And I was
Yeah.
just like,
Yes. Like,
God,
oh
yeah,
shit. Yeah.
get
Yeah. Yeah.
out, man.
And
Kobe. So,
And so with this kind of awakening, this like religious awakening, that was a dog, that was not a ghost, I promise.
uh,
With this new like awakening, did that have anything to do like with your new political awakening? Did that kind of lead to a religious awakening, or was that going on at the same time on its own? Were those kind of hand in hand? What do you remember about that time?
I think, yeah, they kind of went hand in hand because, I mean, there was also a lot of stuff about President Obama that was like, oh, he's a Muslim, and at some point, I think I reached the wait. Why does that matter? Like,
Why
what's
is that
Muslim
bad?
all about? So we're
Yeah.
also like in Iraq and everything and fighting against, you know, one thing that happened that I remember shocking me a little bit is my senior drill sergeant in basic training. Um, so yeah. Anyway, sorry, I was in the army.
Yeah, oh yeah, I
That was
knew that,
about
but I
to say,
forgot
yeah, yeah.
we hadn't said that.
At 25, I joined the Army bands. Not the Army band, but like Army National Guard band in
Yeah,
Arkansas and in Illinois. But while I was in basic training, we had this senior drill sergeant who had been over to Iraq once and Afghanistan twice, I think. Um, and he was just this like 7'8" Dominican man, just like a wall, like the wall that Trump could have been proud of. You know what I mean? This dude was yeah, unstoppable. And some kid, because I was 25 and there were a bunch of 17 and 18-year-olds, some kid said something about Muslims or Afghani people or something, like towel heads or some
Oh
gross
gosh.
term like
Yeah.
that.
Right.
And this senior drill whipped around so fast and corrected his ass on the spot. He was like,
Yes.
some terrorist comes up to you and hands you a gun and has all your children and wife tied up and tell you if you don't go and plant this bomb on this US base, we're going to who knows what to these members of your family. I mean, we're going to anyway,
Yeah.
but if you do it, they might survive.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, what are you going to do?
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Like in
You're
countries
either
where
going to do what
people
the
right, where people don't like have a choice. Yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely. It's like not every
So,
place is like the United States.
so that correction really kind of even while I was there and on a because it's still you can't have technology with you while you're in basic training. You can't be
I did not
checking
know that.
Facebook and stuff. Yeah, it's letters, handwritten letters,
Huh.
still back home. I think some units they were kind of trying a thing where they let them have their phone for 1 hour on the weekend or something like that, so they could kind of call, text home, business like that. I got like 2 phone calls. I made it. Are you coming to graduation? Like that's that was it. But yeah, that even in that sort of media blackout, I could see that first of all, that was when Bernie Sanders got beaten out for the primary ticket, and then Hillary Clinton won, and then it was definitely her and Donald Trump. But yeah, that experience, I think the kind of religious war there um, sparked some of that change as well. Like why is this happening?
Interesting.
Why, what does it matter? And then somebody's like, oh well, it turns out there are like 3 or 4 different types of Islam, and you could
Yeah.
be this kind and this kind and this kind and all these other things. And I'm like, but okay, so like what? And they're just like, oh well, the Shias hate the Sunnis because, and I'm like, you know,
Yeah, and literally and we're just going, "No, no, it's all the same." Right? And yet if you
it's
call a
all bad.
Baptist right, if you call a Baptist and a Pentecostal the same, you're gonna get your head shot off. But
Yeah,
in other countries, everybody's the same. Nobody's different. They're all the same. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, I like that.
Well,
Yeah.
even with the Christian thing, there was kind of an awakening in high school where we had this in Heber Springs. We used to have this kind of summit of all the churches once a year, and they would select a pastor from one of the churches to give this sermon to basically everybody who'd ever gone to church.
Except the
And so you've
Methodists,
got,
right? Certainly, they didn't let a Methodist speak. Certainly not.
you know what, they may have been invited, but I don't know if they would have shown up. But there were plenty of, with all the churches in Heber Springs, putting them all in one place, there were plenty of people there. And you know what? I think it was actually at the United Methodist Church.
That's interesting,
Yeah.
actually.
So, yeah, they were all there, and our pastor was the one who was giving the sermon. So it was like, oh, we all got to go out and support our man. Yeah. And there was one thing he said at the end of he gave this whole sermon, and we're all just kind of like, uh-huh, 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 uh-huh. Like it's going great. We're paying attention. At the end of it, he starts with this football game metaphor, and you're just kind of like, I'm here. I can't be doing anything else. I'm
Yeah.
tracking. And then he goes, but let me ask you this. Can people tell by your praise which team won? And everybody just lost their minds, like because it was like which team is winning or something. It was something like that. It's like basically you should be praising so hard that everybody can always tell like that you're on the winning team.
I think we call that bloviating. I think that's
Oh,
what we call
really?
that. We call that bragging, right? Like when somebody pretends like peacock all the
Oh, yeah,
time, like
yeah.
they like to me that's not actually winning. Like we all know
Yeah,
that
yeah, yeah.
guy who thinks he's winning at
I did not know
everything.
that whole B word you just whipped out on me
Oh,
there. I
bloviating?
needed
I
to.
just learned that
Yeah,
like
yeah.
a couple weeks ago because it was the word of the day
Okay,
on
okay.
dictionary.com, to be honest with you. I learn a lot of words that way. Guys, we're from Arkansas. If
Mm,
you're listening to this, we got to figure out new words other ways than most
yeah.
people. Um, yeah, that's interesting. And so, did your deconstruction, both as like a Republican and as a Christian, did that impact your personal relationships pretty severely, or did you keep it to yourself?
Um, it didn't. I will say I had probably separated from a lot of friends kind of anyway.
Yeah,
I mean, I was
just
married,
organically. Yeah,
yeah, so I didn't like make a ton of super tight connections, maybe just one or two.
yeah,
In fact, like John wasn't even really a tight connection yet. My connection with him wasn't until I went back and started teaching at UAM and then connected with him another time later, I think. But oh yeah, it was actually when my ex-wife and I had our son, and I was a stay-at-home dad, and so her friend bought me an Xbox to kind of stay connected with my friends and play
yeah,
online. And John, I I was like, John, Xboxes, let's link up. So that was when our bond really strengthened. But yeah, I just didn't have a ton of friends.
yeah.
Along with my religious like excursion or no, the thing that means
Deconversion,
exiting. Yeah,
deconversion.
yeah, yeah. I kind of have to search for words sometimes because
Yeah,
I have a seizure disorder that has made me
yeah,
kind of forget some of the fringes of. So anyway, leaving the religion along with that came leaving this toxic version of masculinity behind. That was another thing um, that my parents sort of brought me up in, and it was just another kind of piece of that baggage to leave behind. Really,
yeah,
I
yeah,
feel like that's what it all is. Just this truckload of all of it together.
yeah.
Um,
And I
but
remember
for
when you came to visit Chicago that time,
oh
and
yeah, yeah,
yeah, and I took y'all to Big Shitty Tap, Big City Tap, sorry. But I remember thinking, like, you were a totally different person, and
yeah.
I
I was.
assumed at the time that I just didn't know you well enough back in the day. I
Ah,
assumed, like,
yeah, yeah,
maybe you were this person the whole time, and because I remember you being, like, relatively quiet, I thought maybe I just didn't get to know you well enough, and I was like, "Oh, shit, we shoulda hung out more." But it's interesting
yeah.
that we both deconstructed both spiritually
Mhm.
and politically, and we became better friends after that as adults. It's almost like we had to go through that process in order to be like, "Oh, you're cool. Oh, you're cool. Let's hang out."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, for the sake of cleverness, it's really that I hadn't known me well enough. Not that you
Truly.
didn't know me. I didn't. I had no idea.
Truly, though,
Yeah.
that's such a true statement. I do not know her. I literally feel like I need to reintroduce myself to people who knew me
Yeah.
in college. I don't
I
know that who that girl is.
I deleted
Yeah.
some Facebook posts
Yes.
for sure.
Yes, I keep time hop specifically to show me what I wrote this day in
Mhm.
history so I can delete that shit. Yep,
Yeah.
100%. Do you feel
Mhm.
like do you feel better? Do you feel like more of who you're supposed to be now? Is there still kind of a do you still feel like you're in the middle of the process? What are you
Mhm.
feeling like now that you've gone through all these things?
Well, it's been kind of in stages for me, um, and partially because there's still current life going on.
Yeah.
Um, so I have to mix staying current with things that are going on in my life now with kind of reviewing things, and I've seen therapists for that. I'm
Good.
still in
Good.
therapy for all of that. Like just kind of, hey, here's the thing. One thing that that triggered that for me was just for an example, I would be telling therapists about a story So I've been telling you my age a lot, or like where on the timeline these things are. But a lot of times with a lot of people, when I've told a story, um, based on the context I've given them, they would be like, "Oh, okay. So you were you like 11?" And I would be like, "No, I was 17."
Yes.
That was
Yes.
a that was like the huge alarm bells for me. Like
Yes.
something's off here.
Yes. 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
That's so
that
interesting.
was a big one, and there have been the biggest thing the biggest thing I've struggled with, um, is looking back and really, uh, kind of being disgusted with myself, sure,
Yes.
but kind of going, "Oh, I didn't have 20 years of my life.
Yes.
I
Yes.
didn't have a life for 23, 25 years."
Truly.
You know,
Truly.
something like that. I really
And
have to pick and choose the points that I wanna latch on to, like, "Oh, I had success with this thing," I was good at this. But a lot of other things that a lot of other people have experienced at those ages, not there.
right. And not only did you not have those experiences, but the experiences you did have were in such a bubble. They were in such a
Yeah.
bubble. And like, and not only were they in a bubble, but like for anybody who's never been there, Heber Springs is a very conservative Christian white
Yeah.
nationalist area. And for those people to look at the way that you were raised and still be like, no, no, you should come to youth group. Like, no, like for those people to say, hey, this guy is a little sheltered. For the sheltery for the people who built the shelter to tell you that you are too sheltered. Like and
Dang.
what I think is most important is it's so easy to look back and be like, "Ugh," like, I don't know if you've ever had those moments where you're doing something simple, like washing the dishes or washing your hair, and you just remember something you said or you did, and you're like, "Oh god," like, you're struck by lightning, just knocked out. And it's so easy to just, like, wanna vomit when you remember those things, but for somebody like
Yeah,
you,
yeah.
you've actually come so far. I think it's amazing. So, like, I don't have an excuse. I had television, I had radio, I had secular
Oh,
music, I had hanging out, I had friends from all over. I lived in Chicago when I was in 11th grade. I had no excuse to be
yeah, yeah.
as conservative as I was and to be as close-minded as I was at such a young age, 16, 17, 18. But like you've come so far and you seem like you're in this stage of constantly learning and growing and
Mhm.
changing. And like you said, you're moving forward, but you're still looking back and like trying to not even change history, but learn from it on your own. And I think that's
Yeah.
wildly impressive. Wildly impressive. You owe yourself credit for that. 100%.
No, I appreciate that. I definitely have had a support system that I can't say enough about,
Yeah.
you know?
And your wife is just a delight.
Oh, yeah,
Just a delight.
absolutely. Oh, well, I mean, I was
The
absolutely,
you're
but
yeah.
I was gonna say I was gonna agree with you, then about a second into that, my brain said, "What should I be saying? Thank you?" But then my brain said, "Well, no, she isn't mine. I can't take credit for that." So
Yeah.
that's the way it is. The old me would have been like, "Thank you, thank you." Like, yes, this thing I have is pretty nice, isn't it?
This thing that I am the helm of its
Mhm.
household
Right, yeah,
behaves as such. Yeah. No, I think she's great. She wasn't your wife when I met her, but I think she's great.
right.
Um,
Yeah, yeah. I She has been like absolutely the rock, like the foundation of all this, and um she hasn't like tried to push me in any way. I mean, of course, if I've said something that like because early on I was still in a little bit of the transition stage. I
yeah.
think there was a disagreement early on where a couple of soldiers who are primarily Spanish speakers were speaking Spanish. during a rehearsal or something, and I had a problem with that. And she was like, "Why should they have to like translate to each other if they both speak Spanish? Like, you don't need to know what they're saying."
She's like, "Why
And
are
I'm
you
like, "Yeah,
listening to
but
their
we're in a
conversation?"
English speaking workplace." All the normal things. I mean, besides stuff like that, where she's just had like not the same idea. She hasn't tried to push me in any direction like that.
Yeah.
She
Yeah.
she definitely didn't push me to cut contact with my parents or my mom. Like that was all me. She supported me either way. Whether if I talked to them every day, that might be past the that might be past the threshold. But
She's like,
yeah,
"Look,
she
I
was
don't put my foot
supportive
down
of me.
often." But well, Nathan, this has just been awesome. It's been so cool catching up with
Yeah.
you. Thank you so much for your time and your story. I was really looking forward to having you on, but now I'm like the way it went was just so awesome. I don't know that I knew what to expect, but this was just a really great conversation.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
for
No,
anybody
it's good.
listening, thanks for hanging out with us. Thanks for listening to
Mhm.
Nathan's story, and feel free to reach out and contact me if you have any questions for Nathan. I'd love to pass them along to him, or if you have any comments, please leave them on whatever platform you happen to be listening to, and I'll screenshot all of them and I'll send them to Nathan. But yeah, this has been awesome. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate you being on the podcast and also supporting so much. I know you're always on there listening.
Yeah, well, it's really important to me, so I'm glad. Thank you for having me.
Of course.
It's excellent to talk through this stuff. It's almost therapeutic in a way, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. For those of us who need better insurance, we got podcasts.
Yeah, who needs therapy when you can do an interview?
When you could just, yeah, when you could
Not,
just talk
this
to.
is not medical advice.
No, we are the views and opinions expressed on this podcast